Good morning, everyone. This is Fellowship of Spirit coming to you from Farmington, New Mexico. It is the, what's today? The
November 27th.
27th of November, 2022. My name is Ron Holloway, and I'll be your moderator today. We have, who's going to do the spiritual reading today?
I can, oh, Carol's maybe, is someone?
Carol,
Yeah.
are you doing it?
Yes.
Okay, so Carol Littletree has our spiritual reading. Fred is going to wear two hats today. I mean, besides his regular hat, he's going to play our music and give us our message also. So thank you, Fred. And we are all gathered up here. It's sort of a goal. I see that some trees are moving around outside, so the wind must have picked up since I've been in here. I've been in here about, almost 2 hours now, but it must be windy out. So it's probably turned colder than it was when I came in. But anyway, we will get through it. We have weather every day here in San Juan County. Every day we have weather. It's either good weather or not good weather, but we have weather every day. So anyway, we just take what God gives us and do the best that we can with what we got. So, Jerry, do you have any announcements?
I finished the October statements, and Glenn will be sending out the financials for October this weekend, probably today. And then we'll have to deal with November's here next week.
Right.
So I know that we did not have a board meeting last month, and I'm assuming you're going to want one because we still have elections to deal with.
Right.
So I'm assuming that the second week in December, we will do a board meeting of some sort.
Yeah, that's the best for me, is the second week.
And I would just like to encourage anybody who is listening or anybody who's involved to consider being on the board, not necessarily a officer, but just to be on the board, just to help make the decisions for the fellowship, because we're still as viable as we ever were, and we need input from the congregation to continue making decisions concerning the future of fellowship. So everybody, please consider being on the board, not necessarily an officer, but
it's true. Out of necessity, sometimes we need to make decisions that are, just one or two people, but we prefer to have a representative of the whole fellowship to making decisions for us, to have more people with input and also, responsibility to share all of the things that go into making fellowship happen and work. Anyway, so if you are inclined to serve in that area, we would be more than happy to have you. Okay, does anyone want to offer a prayer?
I would be happy to. I'm
Okay.
not very good at this sort of thing, so bear with me.
Well, before you do, I want to tell people that Jerry, on her way to Belize, when she got up to 36,000 feet, her hearing went away because her ears stopped up, and it is so far into her station tube and things, it is not unstopped yet. So her hearing is impaired, and she sounds like she's in a hearing, like she's having to hear out of a 55-gallon drum or something. It's just not good. She got COVID, and then she got a bleeding ulcer. So we are just really glad that you're happy, that you're home, and we can see your smiling face, and you feel like smiling, we're just really glad that you're back. So,
well,
anyway,
thank you very much.
If you would
all of
offer a prayer, it would be great, and it would be appropriate.
Thank you for all the prayers and commitment and everything that I've heard from everybody, and I'm just blessed to have you as my family. I really am. So thank you. Father, Mother, God, thank you for the blessings that you have given us this year, the fact that we're able to continue on through everything that is all the strife and stress that's been going on in this world, that that fellowship has been able to continue, and that we have the people involved in this group that we have, and that we've been able to continue with within our Zoom family. And I am so thankful and so blessed that we have actually grown this year. And I hope that you see fit to carry us through into next year, and bless all of these people and their families during these holidays. And may everybody have the health and happiness that they deserve. Amen.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, and I'm going to remind people so that I'll remember, and that is that we're not going to have a service on Christmas morning. Christmas is on Sunday this year. We won't have a service at all. We will continue having our services next year. How's that? And
We will have the one on the 1st, on
we will have
January 1st.
January 1st, New Year's Day. We probably will have one. Yeah, we don't want to go 2 weeks without having one. All our
Well, we
people
probably
wander
want
off.
to talk about whether or not we want to do potluck that Sunday also. We'll talk about it in December.
Yeah, we have time to do that. So
Mhm.
anyway, all right. So let me see what our little thing says here. All right. So Fred's is this true? Are you gonna play Thank You for This Day?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Okay,
Can
go
you guys
ahead,
hear me?
Fred. Okay, now Fred, I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone,
All right.
and then you can unmute. There we go.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, like Jerry, I ran into that little virus again. Luckily, I didn't have as many complications as she did. I'm actually testing negative now, but it's still right around 10 or 11 days since the first positive test. So it's just, you still have a little bit of congestion, and tests don't mean everything. It just means that you're not shedding the virus anymore. And so I didn't think it would be safe that I would be there. So figured, well, we'll just do this from via remote and see how well I can do this. Like everything, I'm doing pretty well. But sometimes in the mornings it's a little rough. So if my voice cracks or anything, forgive me.
We won't deduct
Let's
any
do
from your
this.
pay at all.
There you go. Wanna say thank you. Wanna say thank you. Wanna say thank you. I said thank you. 'Cause I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Wanna say thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. So, all right, so let's do our devotional, our reflective moment. Although I think, well, anyway. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another in an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. All right. So,
The affirmation song?
you want to do the affirmation song, Fred?
Affirmation song. Well, we got through one song.
Did one, no blood over here, so you're all right.
You are beautiful. You are strong. You are healthy. You are whole. You are radiant. You are powerful. You are now coming in your own. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am healthy. Yeah. I am whole. I am radiant. I am powerful. Oh Lord, I am not coming. Yes, I'm coming. My own. My own. We are beautiful. We are strong. We are radiant. Oh, we are whole. And now coming into our own.
Thank you, Fred. I think that for some reason your volume must have got turned up or something. We stayed the same over here, but you were pretty loud over here, much louder than the first song.
Oh,
Yeah. Better if we adjust that volume on your end.
I can do that.
Say something.
Well, I ain't changed it yet.
Oh, okay. Change it and then say something. How's that?
I am. Here we go. Now, that better?
It's better because when you play music, you're going to normally get louder anyway. But so that's probably better, Fred.
Right there?
I think so. Hit a few string. Hit a chord. Yeah, that's better. All right. Thank you, Fred. Okay. So Carol. There
Yes.
we go. We got Carol is going to do our spiritual reading today. Let's welcome Carol.
Okay. I found this and I thought it was interesting. I don't know who wrote it. It says it's about oysters. Did you know an oyster that has not been wounded in any way does not produce a pearl? A pearl is a healed wound. Pearls are a product of pain, the result of a foreign body, unwanted substance entering the oyster, such as a parasite or a grain of sand. The inside of an oyster shell is shiny substance called nacre. When a grain of sand enters, the nacre cells go to work and cover the grain of sand and layers to protect the defenseless body from the oyster. As a result, a beautiful pearl is formed. The more pearls, the more valuable. God never allows pain without a purpose. What if your greatest ministry to others comes out of your greatest hurt? The hard things we may be going through now are really nothing in comparison to what is revealed to us later. And I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving also, that this was a very special Thanksgiving, that everything worked well. And I didn't cook. Sean they brought food over. And I didn't cook, and I'm always the cook, but we can always have Thanksgiving another day too. And so that's what I'm thankful for. And this story tells me, I'm going back to the story, that even though we have hurt in our life, we're producing a jewel. Maybe not everyone, but most. Most people by hurt will produce pearls. Okay, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Carol. All right. I was blessed to spend the Thanksgiving with Margaret and Steve and Jenny and some other folks, and we had a great meal. It was wonderful to have the meal, but also to just be with everyone, and I really enjoyed it and appreciate it. So, okay. Without further ado, I think that we'll have Fred to do. Is there another song? Is that it? Song comes after. Oh, wait a minute. We got showing here. We got "Oh Great Spirit." Are you ready to do "Oh Great Spirit"? All right. And see, Fred's got 4 songs he's going to do. Okay, take it away, Fred.
Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, great spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
That was better. That was really, as volume wise, it was better. Okay. So now, back by popular demand, we're going to have Fred is going to give us our message today. So let's welcome Fred Brown.
All right, how you guys doing today? Obviously all in great spirits, I hope.
Everyone's muted.
Huh?
Everyone's muted, but yes, they're all in great spirits.
Right on. Well, anyway, let's see if I can pull this off today. What I wanted to present to you guys is a little bit of more Eastern philosophy, I guess you'd say Near Eastern philosophy, because I've always found what was amazing for me in studying and participating with Fellowship of Spirit is all the different input that were provided. And the whole idea of Unitarianism was something that has appealed for me for many years for various different reasons. And obviously, some of you know a lot about me, and going over that would be pedantic at this point. So I've talked a little bit about Taoism, and where it came from, kind of where its origins were in the Tao Te Ching and Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu and some of his philosophers or disciples. We talked a little bit about how that is represented in the, I guess I don't know if you can see it or not, but represented in the symbol. There you go. Of yin and yang, and how that applies to my life. And there was something else that is interesting and very parallels a lot of new thought and a lot, I guess you'd say, science of mind teachings. And a lot of people write books and talk about the origins and the derivatives of some of the modern thought processes that we have. But obviously, if you dig deep, you can find that the philosophy of Buddhism and Taoism and stuff, and even Hinduism greatly influenced a lot of the thought in the 60s and 70s, and helped bring about a lot of new cultural ideas here in the United States and in Western society as a whole. Going back when we were talking about Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, or the Tao Te Ching, however you want to say it, it came about around 200 AD, right in that area, kind of contemporary to a lot of modern Greek philosophers and the birth of Christianity. I guess you'd say the origins, the original church or churches, because there used to be a lot of different Christian ideas back in that first 3-4 centuries after AD, I guess you could say, after the death of Christ. But this one goes back to Confucius and Confucianism, which is not an easy thing to say. It's kind of like when you're watching football nowadays, and if you're a Denver Broncos fan, you start hearing them go, Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson. Pretty soon, it's just not that fun. Russell Wilson, well, Confucianism, if you say that a lot of times, you start getting that same Elmer Fudd effect, I guess. But one of the really interesting ideas that influenced Taoism comes from Confucius. He's one of the very first early writers and philosophers that you come across in Chinese, I guess you'd say the hierarchy of Chinese modern thought, or well, we would call it antiquity now, but it still affects a lot of things. And Wu Wei, as I guess this is how you would pronounce it in Mandarin, if you can see that. I don't know if you can see it. Well, it's probably backwards, huh? Well, it's just W-U-W-E-I. And Wu Wei comes from a concept that is, a lot of the Chinese philosophy, as you read it, you can understand that the origins of it are in the writings, right? And in Confucius's writings, A lot of his writings were tailored towards the ruling class. He was which is very interesting when you look at Chinese philosophers, all of them, is that was a practice in the Middle East and the Near East, is that wise men would be sought after by kings so that they could understand how to do what they do better, right? Because once you gain power, power is something that's given to you, and it's something that can be taken away from you. And any ruler understands that. Though I guess the need for power becomes its own self-fulfilling promise after a while, and position and all these things. But you're never bestowed power unless others give it to you, and others can just as well take that away from you. And so if you want to be a successful ruler or politician or I guess any social, political or religious influence, you must always remember that your status and who you come from and why you're even there is because of the people that you serve. And so a lot of the ancient Chinese philosophy, or what we call antiquity, but I think it's not really, I mean, because a lot of it's very applicable to this today, was written with that in mind. Even the Tao Te Ching, when it talks about the ruler shall do this and shall not do that, you know what I mean? A lot of this was focused on the ruling class. And now I guess in Western civilization, we're all kings and queens now. So a lot of this, we have a lot of choices. So a lot of this is very, very, very prescient in our modern, I guess you say our modern convention. So when we talk about Wu Wei, of course, it's, as the writing goes, a lot of people think of it in different terms, and obviously Wu Wei has changed over the years, but some people say a good way to look at it is an attitude of genuine non-action, motivated by a lack of desire to participate in the affair. Or two, a technique by means of which one who practices it may gain control of human affairs. Now, like I said, this comes out of the legalism, but when you look at it in the strict sense of what Wu Wei means, in a modern sense, and how it would be applicable to us, is more of thinking about living life in balance and in harmony with your own inner nature and in an economy of energy. In other words, not having to push and not having to pull. And we talk about this as being present. Is it something that a lot of in Science of Mind it spoke of as, being in the present, not being, I think a great analogy was being crucified with the guilt of the past on one hand and being crucified in the other arm with the worry about the future just leaves you helpless on the cross if you're not in the present. So you got to take the guilt, you got to take the worry, and you got to let go to be present. Well, that's kind of the concept of Wu Wei, of being effortless in the actions that you're doing and in balance. And I think a really cool way this was shown to me a long time ago, and I was trying to look for I saw that there was a video of this, but I couldn't find it. But anyway, this is a way you can look at the push and pull of life, maybe even kind of look at the idea of yin and yang. Is that when you have something in this universe, right, and you want to pull it towards you, it's going to have eventually an opposite reaction when you let go of it. So as you pull it towards you, there's going to be a reflex of everything you do where it's going to swing away from you. Same thing if you grab something or push on something, push it away from you. Eventually, when you let it go, it's going to come even closer to you. So a good way of thinking of the Wu Wei and being in perfect harmony is letting everything live right here. Not pushing it, not pulling it. Letting nature, letting your reality, letting your morality pull you closer to it. Not push, not pull. And you can see that reflected in I guess you'd say in the science of mind and the modern teaching of the law of attraction. I think as was presented in The Secret, as we all have seen and probably more than once or twice, they seem more on the intent side of the law of attraction, and that's what we're talking about here is really your intention. To find perfect balance, we all understand. I think most of us that are in seekers and us looking for that the sublime, we all understand now about the power of meditation, of emptying yourself of thought, of the power of breathing, right? And how it's an effortless action that basically keeps you alive. I mean, if your lungs didn't expand and contract on their own accord without you thinking about it, you wouldn't even be able to sleep. Imagine having to go to sleep and remember to breathe. So that's sort of an analogy of effortless action, of how when you're faced with life and life's choices, do you need to push? Do you need to pull? Or do you just need to let it be? So anyway, that's the idea of Wu Wei. Let's see here. A lot of it kind of got developed in the Taoist development. We can look here in the teachings of Guanzi, which came about in 235. He was a disciple of Lao Tzu. When we're talking about stilling the mind and we're talking about being in a perfect place, a place of equanimity, a place of peace, in practice of meditation, the aligning of, the cha and the chakra, all of us have been through this, but keeping your body straight comes through in the teaching of Guanzi when it says here, he wrote, when your body is not aligned, the inner power will not come. When you are not tranquil within, your mind will not be well ordered. Align your body and assist that inner power, that inner strength, then it will gradually come to you on its own. And that's one of the teachings you'll find in meditation, is they teach you at first, you got to focus on some nothingness, or focus on a word, or you get a mantra or a tantra. The whole idea is to get you to stop thinking about everything else, right? And it doesn't come, people that have meditated for years will even admit to you, there's times when you're meditating and it could take 20 minutes or 20 seconds to get yourself there. And having an expectation that you're going to all of a sudden have this blissful feeling is the exact opposite of the practice of meditation, of putting yourself in that place of silence. You're not always going to be successful. You're not always going to be able to clear your mind. But there are going to be times when you are very successful. And when that comes to you, it's almost like when you're playing music. And for those who have been blessed with the ability and the practice and the patience to play an instrument, the more you think about it and the harder you try at it, the tighter and the stiffer it becomes. And as you build the muscle memory of playing that song or playing that tune or repeating that pattern over and over and over and over and again, eventually your body and your mind become one, and you can do it without thinking about it. And so that's another good way of thinking about effortless action. I think I heard a lady once, many years ago, talking about, I don't know how many people knit here. Is there any knitters or people that mess? Okay. I think in knitting, once you get into it and you get your hooks and your loops going, you can literally sit there and run a whole pattern, look up and see that hours have passed. And it only seems like 20, 30 minutes that you were sitting there working on it. And that's another form of getting into that effortless action, where what's happening is happening because, and you're not in there forcing it, pushing it, or pulling it. Here's another teaching by by Guanzi. He says, when you enlarge your mind, then let go of it. When you relax in your small breath, then push it out and expand it. When your body is calm and unmoving, you can maintain that one being and discard all the white noise, the myriad disturbances. You will see profit and not be enticed by it. You will see harm and not be frightened by it. Relaxed and unwound, yet acutely sensitive. In solitude, when you're alone, you will delight in your own person. This is referred to as revolving in your inner breath. Your thoughts and your deeds will seem as natural as heaven. So that's about getting into the present through meditation. And then in verse 13, Guanzi says, there's a natural mind that resides within. One moment it comes, one moment it goes. And no one is able to really put their hands around it. If you lose it, you feel disordered, you feel empty. When you attain it, you think, oh, everything is straight, everything is well ordered. Diligently clean out the lodging place of your holiness, speaking of your mind. Still your attempts to imagine and conceive of it. Stop your efforts to reflect on it and control it. Be reverent and diligent. Its vital essence will naturally materialize. Grasp it and don't let go. Then the eyes and ears won't see it or hear it, and the mind will have nothing else to seek. When a properly aligned mind resides within you, the myriad things will be seen in their proper perspective, right? So when you get into the present, it's easy to see. When you get out of the guilt, when you get out of the worry, when you let go of it, when you stop putting emphasis on it, right? When you start saying, this is me. Let's see, here's something from the Tao Te Ching. Verse 29. Some are naturally big and strong, and others will always be small. Some will be protected and nurtured, and others will meet with destruction. The master accepts things as they are, and out of compassion avoids the extravagance, excesses, and the extremes. And here in verse 20, Lao Tzu says, renounce knowledge, and your problems will end. What is the difference between yes and no? What is the difference between good and evil? Must you fear what others fear? Must you worry about what others worry? Nonsense. Look how far you're missing the mark. So, once again, the idea of equanimity, not passing judgment, not pushing away, not pulling, clinging on to things that aren't yours. And so some of this is, like I said, this is the Far Eastern stuff, Wu Wei, effortless action, attained once again by meditating and clearing your mind, learning how to be in the present. I think I find this analogous to some of the, I've been in therapy counseling for probably 4 or 5 years now. And for PTSD and some other stuff that I never really had talked to people about. But one of the amazing techniques that I've learned through meditative thought and through what they call the ACT program and some other stuff, which is mind visualization techniques and things like that. But understanding something that George used to speak to us a lot about separation. Remember how George would always talk about separation, how when we feel that we're not next to that thing that we care so much about, or separation with the thought that we aren't good, that we're somehow broken, how we separated ourselves from God with the thought of our ego saying, you're not good enough, this is not good enough, Well, some of that stuff I've learned in dealing with internal conflict, which causes the feelings of fear and anger and rage, sadness, and it's even a part of grief. Is this conflict that I had for many, many years with what I thought I should feel, what I thought I should be, how I thought, what my ego said this is how Fred Brown should be, with what Fred Brown should act like, what, this idea that I had of myself and some of the experiences that I had. That always caused me a lot of conflict. And for years, I would push those things away from me. And after a while, not really acknowledging grief and anger and conflict, these things can build up. And when they do come back at you, boy, do they swing back at you. And they'll smack you in the face pretty hard. And one thing that I've learned over time is not being in conflict with those ideas. In other words, not fighting, not pushing against bad feelings, not pushing against bad thoughts, but allowing them to be there with you, not denying what happened and what is, but accepting those things of me, not just the people around you. That's one thing you quickly learn in therapy is it's how you feel about the things that have happened to you that's the problem, more than what has happened to you. And thoughts and feelings, whether, and I think we've all have studied this. Some people think one comes before the other. It doesn't really matter which one becomes before the other. But if your mind is not in the right place and your heart is not in the right place, when things happen to you that challenge your hierarchy of order, your control, your illusion of ego and your idea of who you are, things can become unbalanced. And so that's one thing that I'm learning a lot and trying to practice. So anyway, these are nice thoughts, but this idea of effortless action is interesting from the Chinese, from a Eastern perspective, but there's always stuff lost in translation. And there was actually a philosophy that came about during, I guess you'd say, right around the time of the last great Roman emperor. His name was Marcus Aurelius. Does anybody know who he is? Anybody heard of Marcus Aurelius? Well, he was a really big deal back in his day, and he was a pretty good guy, apparently. But he wrote some books. And he studied with a guy named Pliny. And some of these guys studied with Socrates and supposedly Plato. But anyway, about in those days, they came up with an idea, and it was called Stoicism. Has anybody ever heard of Stoicism? No?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Stoicism is a school of Hellenist philosophy founded by a guy named Zeno of Citium in Athens in the 3rd century after Christ. So we're talking about in the 200 BCE. It is a philosophy of personal virtual ethics informed by a system of logic and reasoning, asserting that the practice of virtue is both necessary and sufficient to achieve what they call eudaimonia, which is equanimity or happiness. The Stoics identified a path to that and a life spent practicing these type of things. Now, some of them were more practical, some weren't, but some of the most, I think, that are some of the, I guess, ideas of two in particular, I think, speak to us today and speak to science of mind and speak to New Thought. And the writings of Seneca and a man named Epictetus, Epictetus. Seneca is, like you think, spelled like the Indian name, Seneca. And they have writings. One of them is Acaridium, Discourses on Virtue. But there's some really cool ideas about, I guess you could say, living in the present that were even brought up then. And believe it or not, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, these writings influenced a lot of early Christianity, modern Christianity, therefore by modern Christianity were influential. They were known by Paul, the Apostle Paul. If you were Greek or Roman, you knew who these people were and you knew what they believed in. Because it was, I think both Epictetus and Pliny were actually exiled because their teachings started spreading too far, and they were thought to be, I guess, a national security threat. And that's what the Romans would do to you if you were somebody. They wouldn't throw you in a prison. They would just put you on a ship and take you to some island and drop you off and say, "See ya." They called that exile. But the main three ideas of Stoicism pretty much are stop clinging. The first one would be stop clinging to objects, people, and to your perceived idea of power and control. One of Epictetus's teachings, he says, never say of anything, I have lost it, but I have returned it. Is your child dead? No, it is returned. Is your wife dead? No, she is returned. Is anything ever brought to you when you're visiting a house? Do not put your hand out to the visitor and say, I want this, and just grab it, but wait for it to be offered to you. Never stretch your desire towards anything, but wait till it reaches you. If you practice this in regards to children, to your wife, to your public post, to the riches you have gained or lost, you'll eventually then be a worthy partner at the feast of the table of the gods. So one thing that Epictetus tried to teach was an idea that the impermanence of everything has to be foremost in your mind. You don't own this body. You don't own anything. And that's even a modern idea that we all understand, correct? Is that when you die, you don't take anything with you. So truly, everything in our life, in this experience we call life, is borrowed. This body is borrowed. We didn't have any control of it being made. You were created. Your time is borrowed. Your time with people is borrowed. And time is the most, as we know, the older we get, is the most precious thing that we have, is time. It ain't money. So if you could have money to buy more time, then money is a good thing, right? So, I think that's a really cool idea, and I think it leads you to a path of gratitude every day. If you wake up every day in the realization, and you look at this changing figure in front of you in the mirror, just remember, hey, this isn't really me, and this is just borrowed time, a borrowed body, and it leads to, I think, well, even for me, it leads to a sense of wonderment and gratitude. When I think about that, it's like, wow. Anyway, the other thing that the Stoics teach is stop clinging to the opinions of others. One of Epictetus' sayings in the Enchiridion, it's spelled Enchiridion, Enchiridion, and Epictetus' other writing is called Discourses. So you can find these available, I think, even on Wikipedia. I mean, it's on the internet, so you can read this stuff in different translations. And the good thing is this went from Greek to Roman. It's a direct link to our language, so there's not a lot lost in translation. One thing Epictetus says, remember that it's not the person who gives or says something bad to you or insults you, but it's the thing that he's saying to you and you which makes these things insulting. So therefore, when anybody says anything to you to provoke you or to hurt you, be assured that it is your own opinion which is hurting you and provoking you. And that's probably one of the hardest things to do nowadays. And I was looking into this a little bit, is why do we care so much about what other people think about us? Well, we've advanced a lot in the last 200-300 years. I guess you'd say societally, especially here in the Western world, technologically, socially, with representative democracy, a lot of things, right? Now the media, the internet, all this stuff, right? But not very long ago, our entire existence was very tribal. And your very survival depended upon your acceptance in the tribe. If the tribe decided that you weren't good anymore for whatever, you were out. And boy, you were out, and you were out on your own. See ya, Charlie. And usually exile from the tribe would end up in death, starvation, madness, get killed by the other tribe, get killed by other animals, the animals around you. So it's been hardwired into our brains for 3,000 at least, maybe 30,000, definitely 30,000 or more years, that it's very important to us to think, and it's hardwired in us to worry about what the people we consider family, friends think about us. So this is actually a big step to take in a path of peace and happiness, is learning to not personalize everything that's said to you. But it will lead you to happiness. And I think I can't give you a practice to more than this one, which was told to me years ago, and it does definitely apply. I mean, remember, the thing that makes you so angry about other people, or the things that they say, or the things that allow you, or things that would hurt you, the things that you see in them, or the things you fear in them. It is about you. It's not about them. And if they're pushing your buttons, it's because they know they can push your buttons, and they know they're going to get a reaction out of you. So you take that off the table, the whole game changes, right? So this is a big thing, I think, for anybody for a path of happiness, is not worrying about this anymore. Don't worry if you sit up there and you cry, or you laugh, or whatever. Embrace yourself. I think that's what people love the most about individuals, and those who we think is celebrity, is their just total lack of caring whether you like them or not. Yeah, and they're just who they are, and we all aspire to be that. So be that. And the third thing that Stoicism teaches, just boiled down to, is stop clinging to outcomes and ideas. Boy, this is a big one. Because our whole entire world, and our entire Western world, is results driven. We live in a meritocracy here in the Western civilization, and pretty much, let's say, in any civilization, it's what is your value to the tribe, or to the tribe that you're part of? Do you're monetarily, physically, entertainment wise, your relationship as a spouse, a husband, a wife, a daughter, there's a lot of meritocracy built into expectation. When we were younger, sure, we all experienced that pressure of getting an education, getting a good job, all these things, right? Getting that piece of paper. And I think all of us, most of us, have seen that does not bring happiness. You can get all the pieces of paper you want. You can line the walls behind you with doctorate degrees. That is not going to give you happiness. Now, it may give you some money to buy some more time, figure out your happiness. But once again, it's all about the time now, right? It's not what or when, but who you're with that matters, right? It's the now, it's not the then, and it's not what's going to be in the future. It's about the now. So one thing that, here's a saying in Epictetus from the Enchiridion. This is in the very first chapter. Some things are in our control and others are not. Things that are in your control is your opinion, the things you pursue, the things you desire, things you fear, and in a word, whatever is your own action. Things that are not in your control is your body, your property, your reputation, the people who command you, and in one word, whatever are not your own actions. So once again, Stoics, the whole idea was, hey, it's not what's going on out here that matters. It's what's going on in here. So in the writings of Marcus Aurelius, in the writings of Epictetus and in Seneca, there's a lot of really practical, straightforward ideas about the inner monologue. They believe that the inner monologue is where your virtue and your reality comes from. And if kind of like in the teachings of the prophet of Nazareth, it's not what goes into your body that defiles you, it's what comes out of your mouth. It's the actions, the words, how you are reacting to this. One of Epictetus, he was exiled eventually. I think it was by Caesar Augustus exiled him. He said, it's for me living alone, and what would happen is people would bring you stuff. So like you had friends and you had support. So even if they stuck you on an island, somebody would show up, bring you food or whatever, and then they'd leave. They couldn't stay there by law. If they were found there with you, they would be executed. So people would bring you stuff. And so that's why some of his writings and some of his followers were able to get some of his writings down. But he said it's not the fact that I'm exiled that is the problem. It's how I feel about exiled. If they exiled me and I walked around this island and I walked around with a sad face and I didn't tend to my garden and I didn't take care of myself, then they won. But they did not win by exiling me. So he realized that it was his attitude about his exile that determined his happiness. And eventually it really didn't work because here I am 2,000 some odd years talking about him and his teachings. So the exile did not work, did it? So anyway, pushing and pulling Wu Wei, right? Finding that presence. For me, it's about accepting what is and not having conflict with that. And that's helped me with my grief. That's helped me with my anger. That's helped me with a lot of the negative emotions in my life, is learning to be present by letting go of a lot of these things, letting go of the conflict. So anyway, namaste. Way. Love you all. I hope there was some information and some entertainment. God
Thank
bless
you. Thank you, Fred. Yeah, the word that I never heard you say is the concept that what you were talking about was the concept of detachment. That unless I am detached from, my perception of other things, my detachment of the past, my fear of the future and all that stuff. If I cannot detach from them, then they own me. So to practice detachment is a hard thing, but it's also a very, very valuable thing if we're going to maintain some health. My son has started a business where he counsels executives, and his practice is, faith is actually based on Stoicism. And I've learned more about Stoicism. I didn't realize it, but out of Stoicism has come our virtues: prudence, justice, charity. All of those things came out of the practice of Stoicism. And some of the things that we value today in philosophy things and things that we practice actually came from that time and that collection of philosophy called Stoicism. So that's very good. Thank you, Fred. Does anyone have anything that they would like to say to Fred? Well, Fred, I guess maybe you just filled us up and we're thinking so hard that we can't even come up with a question. So that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry I dive a little deep, but I figure give you guys these references. I mean, all of us study and have read a lot. We're all very, very well read. So for me, it's always a challenge trying, when I'm asked to speak, I gotta go, oh my gosh, what am I going to speak about? You know what I mean? I don't I don't want to be redundant. And I want to give you something that's fresh. Obviously, Stoicism is something that has been definitely on your mind a lot, and Ron. So now it's shared amongst us all. And it's amazing how the synergy happens. How it's something I've been reading and stuff for the last, I don't know, 30, 40 days. And something that you also come across with your son. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Fred. I enjoyed your talk and it really made me think about a lot of things. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions. They're too far ahead of me.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
I don't think that we have any novices here. We've all had we've all been around for a while. We've studied what we've studied, and to dive deeper is something I think that everyone seeks. That's why we keep coming back, is to learn new things or fresh things or a different point of view or something that we keep looking for. And I think that you have fulfilled that need for us, or that wish that we have today. I appreciate it. Anyone else? All right. Well, I guess you just need to strap on your guitar because you're up again.
Which song did I say I was going to play?
Okay, There Is Joy in My Heart.
Okay, let me find that one.
In room, our page number 344 in our brown book.
I grabbed the wrong one. Well, I still don't have it in here. Where did they go? Well, let's do it. We'll make our own world. How's that? That's
whatever you want to do.
359.
That'll be great. Okay.
I thought I had it, but I didn't. We make our own world wherever we are. Our happiness is of our own making. We make our own world wherever we are. Our happiness then is for the taking, 'cause our world goes with us as we talk and walk along each day. Our world can be a heaven or hell. Our attitudes will say we make our own world wherever we are. Let's make it happy. Let's live in beauty.
right. Okay, it's now time for our celebration of abundance. So let us put over our hearts that which we intend to contribute. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Through infinity, I am prosperous. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Steve. Okay, and Bill Clark is going to come forward and give us a closing thought. Here, I'll hold it for you.
Greetings. One day at a time. Home wasn't built in a day. Sounds like a kind of a little takeoff of Rome wasn't built in a day. The dust on the television screen is so thick, we're amazed our family members can even see the programs they watch. The grass in the backyard is so tall, the rabbits can hide in it. And our inbox at work is so full, it is literally tipping over. We can be easily overwhelmed by the endless housekeeping and professional workloads. We might even have trouble sleeping, wondering how we'll ever catch up on our responsibilities. But if we tackle one simple task at a time, we walk in a room, we can slowly make a dent in the work. More important, we'll be able to sleep well at night. Knowing this steady approach will also help accomplish whatever tomorrow brings. Instead of racing to the finished task, I work calmly and steadily until each job is done. Another way to look at it is if you got a whole lot to do, start with a micro action. Get a little bit of something done and then a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Y'all have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Bill. Boy, that was especially timely for me. Apparently that person that wrote that does not have 5 dogs at home. I'm still looking for someone to home and adopt 2 of them. And they will come, and I think that someone is going to come from Albuquerque and pick a couple of them up this coming week. I'm hoping so. It is time for them to move on to their other life. So, but anyway, I'm just grateful for everything and everybody who comes into my life, whether I judge it to be good or I judge it to be not so good. So, but I really, really love this thing that we call life, this opportunity to grow and to become more spiritually aware, which is what I think is why we're here in these bodies. So anyway, to find happiness and to share happiness and to promote happiness, I think should be the job of every person on the planet. And if that were so, wouldn't it be such a wonderful world? Anyway, thank you very much for coming and being with us today. And I just want to remind you that on Wednesdays, we have Course in Miracles, which we will continue throughout the holidays. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. On Thursday, we still have our Power of 8 meeting led by Margaret Cheesebro. And on Sunday mornings at 8:45, we have a book study, and we are studying a book now called God Will Work With You, but Not For You. Okay, God will work with you, but will not be employed by you, or something like that. Anyway, it's all good. And then, of course, at 10 o'clock, we'll have our next session next Sunday. And then we will not meet on Christmas Day, but we will be here until then, and we will be here after that. So we hope that you have a great week. And we're going to close.
Ron,
Yes.
next Sunday should be the 1st of December.
Oh, that's
Potluck?
true. That's true.
Potluck.
Next Sunday will be potluck. And I don't know why I forget that, because that's my favorite time. I've never been to a potluck that I didn't like. I love potlucks. Okay, so next week, if you're local, come to our potluck. And if you're remote, maybe you should just come on in and be in our potluck. So
The
anyway,
speaker will be Mark.
Mark Wolf is going to speak next week. That's great. That's great. I still have not, he said that, he told me that he recorded his last talk, which everybody loved, but we were unable to record because we had technical difficulties, and he has since recorded that, and he's been trying to send it to me. And the name of that program, Steve, is Dropbox. We used to, and I need to work with him some more, maybe this week or something, and see if we can't get that talk onto our YouTube site. I don't know. Is anybody using our YouTube stuff? Do you visit talks that have been posted on there from time to time? And yeah, there's several of them, and some of we would like to go back and revisit them, or maybe we missed them or something. But I think that YouTube presence is really, really important for us. But anyway, it all works to make up this thing we call fellowship of spirit, and we all love it. Okay, so what do you have, Jerry? You need to be unmuted. You don't have anything? Nope. Okay, well, now I'm going to go to gallery view. There we go. Now I got everybody big on the screen, and we're going to now gather up and sing our closing songs. As soon as we get Steve's armpit out of the way, there we go. Wait a minute, I know what I need to do. Go back to speaker. How about that? All right. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity, and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, family all are we. So let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me.
Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
May God bless you and keep you until we meet again.
Amen. All right.
All right.
Would you mind calling my daughter?
Not at all.
Thank you.